So the 2023 NFL draft is officially over. The Jaguars have made their selections. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, the Jaguars to begin this draft actually had 9 different draft picks, but through process of trading back, the Jaguars wound up with 13 overall draft picks. The Jaguars moved back twice in the first night from 24 to 25, and then from 25 to 27 to take tackle Anton Harrison. Day 2 of the draft, the Jaguars drafted tight ends Brenton Strange and running back Tank Bigsby. And then day 3, the Jaguars addressed a whole lot of stuff. So in this video, I want to kind of give more of like an overview of it. I'm not going to go player for player, give like grade for grade. I know a lot of people out there love to do draft grades. One big reason why is because they get clicks and all that. But I'm only a sucker for clicks sometimes. Sometimes I throw out a clickbaity thumbnail video, whatever. But in this one, I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview. I'm not going to do draft grades, and maybe in a few years we'll revisit. If it's good, we'll revisit it in 3 years. I don't know how many of you guys want me to make a video on how terrible the 2020 draft class was, but maybe at some point I'll make a video about how great the 2021 draft class was. But yeah, we'll move forward. So the Jaguars this draft went very heavy on offense the first 2 days. And it's kind of funny because a bunch of people were kind of complaining about it, and it's kind of interesting because last year everybody wanted the Jaguars to go all offense the first couple days, and the Jaguars went out and went all defense. And then it kind of twisted around this time where Jags fan wanted to go pretty much all defense, and the Jaguars went out there and went pretty much all offense. I mean, the first 2 days was all offense. And so you wonder, like, why did the Jaguars go so much offense? Really, when you look at the construction of the roster, you go and look at where are your young cornerstone players. And on offense, when you look around for that, it's like, okay, what player is on their rookie deal that we really see being like big impact players for, their entire NFL career? You look at it, and the obvious one is Trevor Lawrence. He's a cornerstone player. Walker Little, he's your cornerstone left tackle. You have Luke Fortner, your hopefully cornerstone center. And outside of that, you don't really have anything. You can make the argument about Travis Etienne, but he's a running back. And, running backs just don't hold up in that way. So you really look at it, the Jaguars maybe have 3 cornerstone offensive players on their offense that are on their rookie deals. So, the Jaguars, it's about time they probably spread some love and spend a little bit on the offense. Because when you look around, Cam Robinson, very expensive. Brandon Sheriff, very expensive. Evan Ingram on another 1-year deal. He's not in the future of the Jaguars at this moment. Cowan really got to give him a new deal. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, all these players are very expensive pieces for the Jaguars offense. And quite frankly, we're not going to be able to keep all these guys. So the ideal thing is to get some guys in here, cheap, young labor, and they can come in here and hopefully give you big contributions and hopefully really exceed where they were drafted at. And you also look at this, and it feels like Peterson is kind of building the offense that he wants. Last year, like I said, they gave a lot of love to the defense and free agency, and especially in the NFL draft, the first 2 days of last year's draft, they went all defense. They went Trayvon Walker, and they went 2 linebackers. This time around, they went offensive tackle, tight end, running back. So, Doug Peterson has his plan. He has the way his offense wants to look, and I think they're starting to kind of grow into fruition with what he wants. And also, a big thing about this is that, look, the way you stay relevant in the NFL is by having good offense. The good offenses are what stays relevant in the NFL. You look around and, we're going to see the Chiefs every year, and they're going to have their Travis Kelce's. You're going to see Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase. You're going to see, Justin Herbert with his guys. But, the defense, on the other hand, the defense is going to constantly be, rotating in and out, and or they're going to draft and replace. So really the Jaguars need to start really building the nucleus of the offense. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is it. You hope that Calvin Ridley, we're going to get a long-term deal with him. But really you're kind of void of young talent right now. So yeah, overall you want your offenses to be great because like, it's not that defense isn't important, but the offense and the pieces around your offense is what is really going to like keep your team relevant for the long haul. Now, how do I feel about this draft? I mean, I'll admit that at first I was just kind of like, like I wasn't super like overjoyed about it, but I wasn't like, your regular Jag fan 4502 on Twitter, oh, we're terrible, bulky, fire him, you know what I mean? Like people just love to have their instant crazy reactions. And especially you guys in my live chat during the draft that got a little toxic at times. But I'll say this, love the Anton Harrison pick. I mean, if you guys were watching my videos, you guys knew I was very clear that who did I want in the first round? I didn't have a specific target, but I did want to go after a big man. I wasn't really on the Brian Branch hype train. I wasn't really trying to go Deontay Banks. I wasn't trying to go like defensive back or, tight end. I wanted a big guy. I wanted a big offensive lineman or a big defensive lineman. And, they went out and got Anton Harrison, who, look, this is a clear need pick. The Jaguars have Cam Robinson. He is suspended for an unknown amount of games with PEDs. And then he also has a hefty $17 million price tag on him next year, where if you cut him, you save $17 million. And as you look to, keep the roster intact, construct your roster, that's a huge price tag for a player that is clearly not as good as that price tag. And, you look at Anton Harrison, day one starter at right tackle. I think it's been made clear. I think Doug Peterson told somebody that Anton Harrison is going to get day one work at right tackle. So it's looking like Walker Little at left tackle, who deserves to keep that spot, and then Anton Harrison at right tackle, which, look, I'm all about. I don't really need to be switching these guys, having these competitions. Okay, left tackle, right tackle, right tackle. Lock in your spot. This guy only played like one game at right tackle in college. I'd rather just get all these reps at right tackle. I don't need another Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew battle where you're taking valuable reps away from players in training camp where, training camp practices, they don't get as many reps as they used to. So I want, to maximize everything he has, get as many reps in training camp and, move forward from there. So, 21 years old, he'll be 20. He just turned 21, so he'll be 21 the whole entire football season. So very young. There was even rumors that Peter King told. Apparently, they said that the Raiders were potentially going to draft him at number 12 overall. So, depending on who you ask, he's a great player. But at the end of the day, I don't think there was any way this guy was going to fall out of the first round. And it feels like the Jaguars got a pretty good player. So, next up, the Jaguars drafted tight end Brenton Strange at number 61 overall. This is when a lot of people were really starting to question, like, what the heck? Not a lot of people had heard about Brenton Strange. He was, pretty commonly mocked as a day 3 pick, although it seemed like NFL people were a lot higher on him than NFL analysts. According to Matt Miller, 3 different scouts told him that they expected Brenton Strange to be a late second round pick, which is exactly what he was. Now, he's most known for his blocking skills. It seems like he's kind of a project on all different ends. But here's the thing. Like, I don't really care what random Twitter guy says, what NFL analysts, what Mel Kiper says, what whoever says. This is the tight end that Doug Peterson wanted. I'll trust Doug Peterson's tight end, analysis over anybody out there. I'll take his scouting. I'll take whatever he sees on film over anybody. I mean, Doug Peterson's pretty much known as a tight end guy. I mean, I don't think there's any other guy in the NFL that's more known for his, being like a tight end whisperer, what have you, than Doug Peterson. So if Doug Peterson looked at this guy and he liked him enough to take him in the second round, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know more than Doug Peterson. So, this is one. We'll see how he does. 61 overall for a tight end. Next up in the third round, things got even more confusing, as if it didn't get confusing enough with taking the tight end in the second round. Then the Jaguars drafted a running back, Tank Bigsby, out of Auburn, at number 88 overall. And look, a lot of us said, look, we just drafted ETN a couple years ago in the first round, just signed Hasty. We got Dearness Johnson. We drafted Snoop Connor from Ole Miss last year. And we're saying, okay, like, we're probably good at running back, but then they go out and spend a day 2 pick on a running back. And it's now a very crowded running back room. So it kind of begs the question, what is his role going to be? You immediately think it's like, oh, he's going to be a third down running back, but apparently third down is like his biggest weakness. He's kind of got stiff hands. He may not be the best in pass protection. From what I've been reading, I haven't watched too much of him. So what's he going to be? I imagine he's going to be the goal line back, third and one back. I think that, which is probably fantasy people are going to hate it. He's probably going to take some touchdowns away from ETN. But, I think last year ETN got hit hard a bunch, and I think the Jaguars, when we're on third and one, fourth and one, generally we're passing the ball. And I don't think the Jaguars want to be in that situation where, it's close yardage and they're passing the ball. I think they want to start saying, okay, we're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. If we want to get a yard, we can get a yard. If we need a half a yard, we can get a half a yard. And I think Tank Bigsby is probably going to be that guy. I imagine he'll be working on, his skills on third down because, when Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl for Philadelphia, he really did win it with like three different running backs. I mean, he had different guys running all over the place at running back, like Eric Blount, like Darren Sproles. He had a whole, I think Jay Ajayi was on a team. I don't know. He had a whole, running back system over there where he was using guys, fitting them in different roles. So the Jaguars use a third round pick on him. I mean, this isn't depth. This is like, okay, he's going to be a playmaker. He's going to get some work in the offense. And, we'll see, how it ends up. I imagine they do have a true role for him in mind to be spending a third round pick on him when you have, so many other needs. Now, day 3 of the NFL draft was really, it's crazy. I mean, when you look at it, the Jaguars drafted linebacker, defensive end, edge, safety, wide receiver, cornerback, safety, offensive lineman, defensive tackle, fullback. The only position they drafted twice was safety, so they really went all over the place. They had a lot of picks. Trent Baalke said he kept trying to move up, but nobody was wanting to move up, so we traded back, collected a whole bunch of stuff, and there's no way that all these guys are going to make the team. We're going to have a loaded practice squad, I guess. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go over these different guys in another video. This video is going to be too long to really discuss every single one of these guys. I'm more so just wanting to give you guys an overall thoughts about, or my thoughts about the draft. So post draft, I still think that there's some positions that Jaguars need to address, and they need to address these guys and, free agency with some vets, bring them in on 1-year deals. We have the money. I believe we should have the money. I mean, now that Cam Robinson is going to be suspended, I think that clears up $1 million per game. So, some guys we really need to go after edge rusher. There's veterans like Leonard Floyd out there, Jadeveon Clowney, Frank Clark, Yannick Ngakoue, Houston. There's Justin Houston. There's also cornerbacks out there, Marcus Peters, Ronald Darby, Rock Ya-Sin, Eli Apple. I mean, there's players out there. There's plenty of good vets that can come in and fill in, because I'll tell you what, I don't want Trey Herndon starting week 1, okay? And I don't want to not get pressure on the quarterback. Overall, I'm not going to sit here and be like, we didn't get cornerback, we didn't get defensive end, terrible draft. Because look, I'm going to give Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke the benefit of the doubt until they basically prove that they no longer get the benefit of the doubt. It did the same thing with Dave Caldwell. And then we stopped. We weren't winning. The drafts were just like, okay, what are we doing? But right now, Trent Baalke, he's had 2021 draft, he killed it. 2022 free agency, he killed it. Clearly in the 2022 draft, it's still incomplete. We'll see how Trayvon Walker progresses, Devin Lloyd, these different guys as they go into the next year of, this defensive scheme. We'll really be able to, take a look and kind of grade and see how, he did in that matter. But, overall, at the end of the day, this draft is a lot different than a lot of drafts. And I'll tell you why. In the past, we've looked at drafts and we're going to say, okay, these guys going to be, you guys need to do this. But at the end of the day, guys, we have Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, man. Those two people are going to cover up a lot of holes on this team. They're going to win us a lot of games. Right now, we feel like we're definitely a shoe-in almost to make the playoffs at this point when it comes to just how weak the AFC South looks. I know I randomly looked at a way too early 2024 mock draft, and they have the Titans, Colts, Texans all drafting in the top 5. They all project them to be terrible. They all have their rookie quarterbacks. Like there's some new head coaches in the mix. And yeah, the Jaguars have a quarterback that is way more developed than anybody else in the AFC South. So, and right now it's all about staying healthy, getting to January, playing some of your best football, and really just we're going it. Look, we arrived too early last year. This year, we should really be able to own this offense, own this defense. The defensive scheme was pretty complicated. Now you're going to have guys playing in their second year. You're going to have your rookies that are from last year that are making bigger impacts. It should just be a lot cleaner, a lot earlier on. I don't see us going 2-5. I don't see us going on 4 or 5 game losing streaks. I mean, we should be really ready to go. So overall, let me know what your guys' thoughts on this draft are. Appreciate everybody for being with me on day 1 and day 2 in the NFL draft. Man, I'll tell you, streaming 4+ hours is tiring for me. I'm just not. It's a very tiring process. So appreciate everybody for being there. Thanks, guys, for watching this video. Please drop a like for me on your way out. And what we're about, we're in May 1st, so we're a little over 4 months away from the start of the NFL season. So it'll be here before you know it. Stay tuned to the channel. Thanks for watching. Go Jags.